Well, hello and welcome to the Dating Advisory Board. I'm your host, Jen Hecht. Well, Gabriella Boucher is stuck in a little bit of DC traffic right now. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background. She's going to be calling here in a few minutes. You can love DC. To go 5 miles, it takes an hour and a half. So I completely understand. I always leave an insane amount of time, and I get there usually on the same time. So anyway, I'm excited to talk with Gabriella today. How do we bridge the gap on generational diversity in business and dating? And I love this segment because there's so many different generations working in the workforce, but the largest is the millennials. And so I can't wait to hear from her. A little bit of background on Gabrielle. She is the founder and CEO of the Millennial Solution. She is the author of 3 books on her generation, has developed millennial engagement strategies for presidential campaigns, Fortune 500 CEOs, and top military generals. The Millennial Solution provides practical training based on original insight and cutting-edge research to transform your work environment. They focus on researching the science behind generational interaction and bringing you the best collaborative strategies you need to succeed. And Gabriella has been featured in the Washington Post, Huffington Post, Business Insider, and Fast Company for her work with millennials. So I'm going to take a short break. I'm going to have Jeremy come on the show for a few minutes until Gabriella dials in. So we'll be back in 2 minutes. Thanks. Well, hello and welcome back to the Dating Advisory Board. I'm your host, Jen Hecht, and this is not Gabrielle.
And I'm Gabrielle. Hey, everybody. I'm Gabrielle.
Oh, my God. Tell people who you are and this fabulous...
Listen, no, these things happen. And so actually we took a rare opportunity to now I can be a testimonial, okay?
Yeah.
So you're talking about millennials, and we're surrounded by right now and being produced by... Millennials.
I know. The largest workforce
What's
in America.
What's been your personal experience with millennials? Do you have to interact with any on a daily or weekly basis?
Yes. Mostly do social media. I mean, I have a lot of girlfriends that do a lot of PR that are millennials, and I always love learning all the new tips and tricks that they're using on trying to get your brand out there and get you noticed on all the different platforms.
They get a bad rep?
You know, I hear both sides of it, and it's disheartening. But then you think of the generation, like I'm Generation Xers. You know, we get.
Me too, baby.
Yeah, I know. Oh, you are? I thought you were younger. I thought you were a millennial.
What are you trying to say? I don't know. Is that it? I'm 41.
You're 41. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be 40 in August.
So.
Yeah, I know. Old lady.
I am. No, I thought you were younger.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate that.
A lot younger, like 21.
Great answer. Great answer. So what's your been experience hiring them at WLVS Radio?
What I try to glean from millennials, and I'm being really honest here, is they have a totally different approach to everything.
Okay.
And so while some of the way they do things and some of the ways they communicate and more some of the things they don't know about traditional business policies and interactions, yeah, that's a shortcoming, you know. But I think generally speaking, that's a shortcoming of all young people in any workplace. You gotta learn.
You gotta have mentors and someone to teach you, right? And I think the way that they're being taught in schools is completely different from when we were in college.
Yeah, and wouldn't that isn't that ironic
Right.
that if this new generation is coming out or different or in a way that we don't like, that somehow we're blaming them instead of the people like us who is teaching them and raising them.
Right, exactly. No, it's true. I mean, depending on where you go to school, or just if you didn't go to school and you just had a mentor, an influencer in your life that you shadowed, was probably one of my biggest assets growing up, or especially when I graduated school, was to be a shadow of my uncle. He was big in telecom, so I would sit and listen to all of his calls, listen to how he spoke with people, and it was very productive.
Earlier today, we had the interntainment.
Oh, what's that?
Interntainment. So earlier today, the only the summer interns. So we have summer, fall, and spring.
Okay. And how many interns do you normally have here at the studio?
Well, usually we have about 5 or 6 of them.
Okay.
And we in the summers we try to make sure that they are highly talented, specialized geniuses in audio and video production
And they're good.
from very special programs, and we give them a radio show in the summers. But the other interns for the rest of the year, they don't get that experience
Why?
because the summer interns are special.
I love it. Great answer.
No, they really are. You can be an intern and be a economics major in the spring. And in the summer, these are specialized folks, so we want to give them some specialized hands-on experience, and that's why the radio show. I hope everyone liked it. They had some really cool poetry on.
Really? So tell me about it. So what did they do? I mean, is it every week, or how are you guys doing it?
It is every single week
Okay.
at 4 o'clock on Wednesdays, just for the rest of the summer. And all the interns get together with DJ Jock, who's one of the interns, and Skylar, who sings, and Paige, who can do everything, and A. Huff, who has been cutting.
Ariana Huffington?
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
She gave up on the post thing. That was ridiculous. She was like, forget the post. I'm coming to Listen Vision. So, yeah, no. I really, if you want to see some work
Yes.
that millennials have done here at Listen Vision, you can go to our YouTube page. And so they cut together recently, unfortunately, Prodigy of Mobb Deep passed away.
Yeah.
And they cut together a whole piece for that. And then they cut together a whole piece for Guru with the beats from the Beat Bar. So they're doing all these really cutting-edge things. And if you can watch those videos, you'll see these cats are talented, man.
Yeah. Well, I love the video that that Jacob did with you holding out the phone.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah, I like that, so you can see all that. It was really
Yeah,
it was
okay,
good.
there you
Shout out
go.
to Jacob.
Jacob's
Way
a
to go.
millennial. Yeah.
Millennials.
I love Jacob.
Yeah.
Jacob, thanks, man.
Yeah.
He's not only engineering and producing this show, but he does music videos, and he's a photographer, and he does so
The
many
documentary
things.
too, when you interviewed
He's
that
doing
one rock star. What was his name?
Steven Van Zandt.
Yes.
Look at her.
I mean, I pay attention. Not a lot of things get by me. Just saying.
I appreciate you having me on, even if it's just to eat up time.
Oh,
This
stop.
when you pay attention to branding,
Yeah.
you get a show like the Dating Advisory Board. I'm not just saying that to make
And
you
yeah, how
feel
did you
good.
find me?
So I found you through Facebook Live, and you were
That's why you need to
out
do it.
in a shop
Yes.
in, I want to say like Annapolis or
No,
something.
it was Potomac.
Potomac.
Yeah. It was Potomac.
She was in a shop in Potomac, and she was interviewing the owner.
No, it was Danielle Tate for Elegant Entrepreneur. It was outside Starbucks. It was raining, so we were committed, and but it was still a good video. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now we've got Gabrielle. Okay, it's just audio.
Okay, we got Gabrielle Bochet.
That's right. So we are waiting, confirming. I think she was FaceTiming. Let's see.
Well, let's go to a break.
Yeah,
I
let's go
think,
to a
while
break.
while
and
while
figure
we're
out-
getting her.
Yes, great
Yeah.
idea. All right,
And then when we
stay
come
tuned.
back,
Yeah, we'll come back. And Gabriella will be here,
yeah, right here,
maybe.
right here.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's not exactly something that you go to college for, that's for sure. I studied politics and theology in college, but I was always really interested in millennials and what makes them tick, why we do the things that we do, mostly because I am a millennial, of course, but also to working in the corporate sector and nonprofits and in politics. I always saw that there were some really powerful opportunities that were being missed because we were not communicating well across the generation. So I wrote a couple books about it. I wrote my first book when I was 17, and then 5 Millennial Myths when I was 24, and kind of launched me into this new world of helping companies and helping individuals and organizations work better together.
Awesome. Hold on. I'm losing my. Can you hear me? No, here we go. Okay. So I'm just going to talk too. I mean, like, I mean, it's the positive. What is it? Double the pleasure. Double, whatever. Sorry. I don't know. All right. Sorry. So when you were writing those books, I mean, that's so impressive at 17. I mean, what made you decide? I mean, how did you get into thinking about writing a book about, your where were you working? What led to the transition?
Yeah, it was a lot of personal experience, and I'm from Bieber, that when you're starting to see things in your own life, complaining about things, that means that you're supposed to be doing something about it. And so because of that, I really started noticing, I keep complaining about how different generations aren't working better together how they should, so it kind of just launched me into this space. And in my mind, communication was writing. And that was really before the whole micro celebrities on YouTube, et cetera. So I kind of launched that, and that was the only thing I knew how to do. Book.
That's awesome. So what do you say is, how do we bridge the gap in generational diversity in the workplace? Because, talk us a little bit about that. I know you told me before that millennials are the largest workforce in America. Is that, can you go into that a little bit in deeper detail?
Yeah, we're the largest generation of ever existed. So in regards to our conversation, it's kind of inevitable that you'll either, parent them, hire them, or date them, right? But really what it comes down to is respect first and understanding second. I mean, that's really what it is. You have to respect the fact that each of us come from different backgrounds, not just generationally. And the biggest mistake I think all of us make in relationships and in life is that we assume the other person has the same kind of experience that we did. And it's really detrimental because you're starting to have expectations that are inevitably going to be let down. And the second thing is you have to understand and be understanding and empathetic about that person is and be curious about learning about how they see the world, because it's of course different than how you do it.
Right. Now, when you're talking about the different generations that are in the workforce right now and how they're communicating, I think that translates into the dating world as well, because I know my generation, I'm Generation X, so we're used to being on the phone. We're used to picking up the phone, calling, and talking, especially in dates. We don't understand, well, why are they not calling? They're just texting. It's all text. So let's talk about how the different generations communicate.
Oh, yeah. Millennials are obsessed with texting. Yeah. Which makes sense because that's really been our primary form of communication for a large part of our community here. I often joke around that if you're trying to get a hold of if you want to get to a millennial, an extra email, and if you want to get to a millennial, you text them. And that's kind of how we prefer to communicate. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's very reflective of the fact that have our own kind of form of communication, and that just means that how we want to talk, and it comes back to respect, right? If you want to get a hold of a millennial, respect the way that we prefer to communicate and encourage us to respect and communicate as well.
Yeah. And then would you say in business, though, as well, I mean, how you're communicating, is it more just via text, via the phone, or are they, picking up the phone? I mean, I just hear different backgrounds or different age groups have a completely different way of speaking. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course, especially in business. There's always that frustration point, which I hear a lot from clients. I work a lot with executives that they're trying to get a hold of their millennial team members, email or call, and then they'll call and they'll just get a text that's like, hey, what's up? Right. So they're like, call me back so we can talk about what's up. And millennials would rather have the really short of information.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. That's good. Yeah. Now, and you're saying, I love that on your website you say you talk about Texicate, like on your. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I love that. So we offer training and workshops for organizations to help them, better understand each other. So we have a course for millennials called Texicate. And where we teach people how to use technology responsibly, because many of us, particularly millennials, but all of us, I think, kind of fall in this. We're using phones too much. Where you'll go to a bar and everyone's got their nose in their phone rather than talking to someone face to face. And we're really missing so much of the power of human interaction. And it's a really big passion of ours to make sure that no generation loses out on our really connection because of our use of technology. It should be a tool, not a hindrance.
Right, exactly. I mean, you just go into Starbucks and everyone's on their phone, but you'd probably be the most interesting person in the room if you just looked around and smiled and weren't on your phone. Especially if you're single. I know. And the single, I'm like, wait, whoa, what's wrong with her? She is smiling. There must be something wrong with that woman. But you're like, no, I'm just human, just trying to have a human interaction. Right. Well, let's talk about, let's break down your book. So let's talk about what you're talking about, the Millennial Entrepreneur. So that was your first one.
Yeah, I wrote the Millennial Entrepreneur because I was really focused on helping other people start companies. I was 24, I was starting a company, I had no experience or really right to be starting my own company. But I recognized that there were other people who were going on this journey, who were curious about what it was like to start something online and what it was like to be a next generation entrepreneur. So I just started asking questions and recognizing there were other people who were also on the journey. Right. And ended up writing a book, about a 2-year-long study on millennial entrepreneurs to discover what the future looks like when millennials are in charge.
Wow. So can you give us some tips from the book that we get some takeaways from that book?
Yeah, I was really one of the most interesting things I found about your group in starting companies is that we are obsessed with collaboration. And we want to use technology to make the world a place. Like if there's a problem, there's probably an app for it, right?
Right.
So I don't think that's going to be any different as millennials get older.
Okay.
I think we're definitely a consistent theme of millennials being addicted to collaboration and using technology constantly.
Yes, absolutely. Now, when you said the 5 millennial myths, can you kind of break down what the 5 myths are?
Yeah, so I focused on 5 because they're endless, right? I noticed in my research and in a lot of media where that everyone talks about 5 core issues, right, that they had with millennials. And the biggest one, and the entitlement. We hear it all the time that this generation expects the world and doesn't want to work for anything. And it's a big hindrance in our personal relationships, at work, in the entrepreneurial community. And what I found was that it's not necessarily an entitlement that this generation has as much as it is a sense of expectation. These expectations for what the world's going to look like, what relationships are going to look like, for what salaries are going to look like. So that's been a decision. The other really big thing that I hear a lot about is that millennials are disloyal, that we don't stay committed to people or stay committed to companies or careers. And what I found was that's not necessarily untrue, but why millennials are moving on really interesting. We have FOMO, right? Sure. We've talked about this before. I think is this idea of I don't want to commit to one thing because of the other things I'm going to miss out on.
Right. Can you hear me? So that was all right. So that was okay. The other thing is, so when you're talking about those myths, because I mean, you do hear it, and I've been reading some of these articles that now the millennials are moving in with their parents just because of debt and student loan. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Are you hearing that a lot?
I'm not necessarily only hearing it. I'm seeing it quite a bit, actually. So 35% of all millennials graduate this year from college will move back in with their parents. And you know, on one side we give them a hard time because it is ridiculous. But on the other side, for many, the most responsible choice that they can make financially. When you're about $38,000 in debt, which is the average, it only makes sense for them to cut the biggest expense that they have, which is housing.
It's true.
But it certainly does change the stigma. I mean, remember that movie from a couple years ago, the Failure Launch show where the movie with Matthew McConaughey, and it was supposed to look bad that he still lived at home.
Right.
That stigma just isn't really there anymore.
Right. I mean, it makes sense as an economic choice. I mean, it makes sense to do that. I think so. I mean, when I graduated college and I moved to DC, I lived with my aunt and uncle for a little bit until I, got on my feet. Luckily, I mean, I played tennis, so I was lucky that I didn't have student debt. But I mean, imagine, it's like you're working to go to school and school to work. I mean, it's just insanity. All these student loans that I hear about from people that are still in there. Some people are still paying off them. I mean, I'm in my 40s, still paying for it. Right, decades later, exactly. So, when you're talking on your site, because the Millennial Solution, you're actually going in there. Can you talk a little bit about, there's two main things that I want you to share with, like, how should companies retain and hire millennials? Like, so when people come to you, what is the highest, what is the issue that they're running into by retaining the workforce?
Yeah, it's certainly the biggest challenge that people are having is that they can't keep millennials from quitting. It's incredibly expensive. It costs about 150% of someone's salary for them to quit within the first year and a half of them working there. So it is a very expensive challenge that companies are having to figure out. The average millennial will stay at her job between 2 and 3 years.
Okay.
So it's really, really complicated for companies, but the solution is really quite simple. And it's really in finding out what, again, expectations are for this next generation and making sure that you create a culture that really embraces and celebrates every generation. Because you can't create a culture that's so millennial, right, where it's like only free beer and, popcorn and like a rock wall.
There's a rock
because
wall?
the boomers aren't necessarily going to want it, so it's got to be both and.
Wow. I mean, what are companies now offering? What's the kind of a standard? Because, you hear so many things that people say and how trying to attract the millennials too into the workforce, especially at the bigger companies, but even for smaller companies, like what is kind of the mandatory things that people are offering to them?
Some of the things that we see millennials really requesting more and more is a mentoring program. That's been a really big thing where we are almost expecting a mentor, not necessarily being thankful that we have one. We recognize how important a mentor and a coach is for our personal success.
Yeah, for the personal growth.
Secondly, I think a really great onboarding program, makes a lot of sense to make sure people know what kind of culture they're coming into rather than an orientation. An onboarding program is really powerful.
Yeah. There's one customer of mine that I went and saw. I've been a customer of mine for years at Bencom. And they moved into this unbelievable building in downtown Arlington. It's huge. They got multiple floors. And so I went in there, and I could not believe. It was probably one of the biggest boardrooms, number one, I've ever seen, dating advisory boardroom, right? But then they started taking me through the different, and I said, they have a huge lunch area. It's all open space. They get lunch basically every day. They have a masseuse come in once a week. I can't make this up. And then they have a gym, and then they have one keyboard where they'll have the walking, little walking treadmill, so you can walk and work. Right, and every single desk is rising and lowering desk, automatic desk. Like what? And they have ping pong, and then they had to go back and put sound masking. That's what it's called, because people were hearing the ping pong championships while they were working. Okay, and then they have a bar upstairs in the rooftop. I was like, why would anyone leave? And he said, no one does. They're here on the weekends working. I said, oh, that was really smart. Why would they have, the view's unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even imagine the other benefits. I don't know, what do you say on the benefit sides that companies should be looking to if they're trying to attract top talent from like some of the companies like this one that has all these amenities? And what are you seeing from different companies?
Certainly not every company is going to be in a position to, soundproof a ping pong tournament room, although that sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But, what we found is stuff like that will attract an individual or a millennial to your company, but it may not necessarily retain them.
Okay.
Because, they can have, beer pong tournaments. They're still looking for another job if they don't like their boss, if they're not challenged professionally, if they don't have clarity in what their career is going to look like.
Well, that's a really good point. Now, when you're saying, especially when you're breaking it down, let's say in companies, right? So if they're marketing, you said it's the largest market as well is millennials. Now, how are you to market to them, especially in business?
Yeah, millennials are a very loyal customer base, which is a huge myth that I think many people believe that millennials will not purchase anything. Okay. It's just not the case. Millennials are actually incredibly loyal customers once you get them. Just look at the Apple craze that millennials have really embraced. So when it comes to marketing to millennials, of course you have to talk in a language that they understand, which means social media, but it also means authenticity. Mm-hmm. Millennials don't want to hear something that's, doctor recommended or expert approved. Right. We want to know, what our best friend, sister's cousin likes to do with her hair or toothpaste or something. So
yeah, exactly.
It's the ultimate authenticity.
Yeah. Now, when you say what apps are, so if you're a company targeting millennials, if that's your target market, what social media platforms should they target?
Well, certainly going on Instagram, which is where millennials have really decided to self-populate everything. It used to be Facebook, but now the largest group on Facebook is baby boomers. So I think we've kind of migrated from one to the other. And certainly Snapchat for the younger millennial group is incredibly effective. But when it comes down to social media, it really matters how you're able to empower your followers and your customer base to engage with you via social media. How are you educating them? How are you inspiring them? How are you including them in the production of whatever content, products, et cetera, that you're developing?
Right. Now go back to Snapchat for a minute because, you're hearing the ups and downs and Snapchat's going down. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's very much the ebb and flow of social media is that there are, I mean, do you remember Vine? Like, Vine was very popular for a moment. I don't think Snapchat is necessarily going anywhere anytime soon, but we haven't seen too many companies other than, say, ESPN do an incredible job at monetizing Snapchat.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's good. All right. Well, I'm going to take, so how far are you? Are you close? I was going to take a break.
You're really enjoying me getting stuck in traffic here in DC.
I know. It's just insane. They want to do all this construction. But yeah, well, I'm going to take a short break anyway, real quick. And then, so you guys stay tuned. I have the fabulous and brilliant Gabrielle Bosché, CEO and president of the Millennial Solution. So stay tuned for more. Is she still on Facebook? Well, hello and welcome back to the Dating Advisory Board. We have the fabulous Gabrielle Bosché, CEO and founder of the Millennial Solution, on the show via FaceTime because now her phone says it's yet another 30 minutes to get here. So we're just going to continue our interview via FaceTime. So I love it. I mean, we're getting such great knowledge from Gabrielle here, talking about how millennials, how to retain and how to attract millennials, since they are the largest consumer base and in the workforce today. Now, is that all in the United States, or is that all over the world?
It's international.
Oh, it's international? Oh, wow. That's great. So since we've talked about the business side, let's transition it into the dating side. So I created this new segment called the Dating Dictionary, because there's so many terms, and they would probably come from millennials because I had not heard them before. And the number one is ghosting. We all know that, right?
Ghosting. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, I always say it's dating karma. You should not ghost, just like you wouldn't ghost a client in business. But ghosting, since I'll do the terms, you think it's going swimmingly until they just up and disappear. No reason, no explanation, nothing. Do you hear from some of your girlfriends that are out there in the single world? What are their experiences with ghosting?
Yeah, I think maybe millennials are more prone to do that because we're so used to kind of connecting digitally, so it may not feel like it's, as real of a relationship or not. But I've certainly seen plenty of people who do that. Which I had a good conversation with a couple of friends of mine the other day. I recently got married. I met my husband on Facebook. But I was like, I don't know what it would look like, if I was, back at it, like what kind of new tricks and tools would I use? It's been a year and a half. It hasn't been that long that I've been engaged.
I love it. No, but that's true though. I mean, think about it. I mean, you made actually a good point. So I want to segue this. So you met your husband through Facebook. Now, did you know him or were you friends of friends? Because I talk about the referral network. I don't think we do enough referrals in business, and I think we should do referrals in dating too. But just depends on the situation.
We had one mutual friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So one mutual friend. So. And he was living in Florida, and I was living in Washington, D.C., so never quite know.
Yeah, you never know. Just connect. You'll miss that chance if you don't connect with that person. True story. Okay, so I have a bell, so you can get to ring the bell.
Oh, the bell.
I know, the bell. No. So and my other one, my favorite, this is interesting, breadcrumbing. Yeah, I'm not hungry. I don't need to breadcrumb. But do you know about breadcrumbing?
I don't.
Okay. It's something else. Okay. It's similar to ghosting, so let's not get it twisted and get confused. But breadcrumbing is when someone disappears only to reappear at a later date by liking your Instagram photo from 16 weeks ago.
Oh, I see that.
And without explanation for their hiatus or any commitment to you or future together. Did you just drop a hint? They may email or text and be like, oh, let's get together. And then it never happens. But then they'll be like, oh, sorry, something happened. Wild rabid dog attacked me, right? No, it didn't. It 100% didn't, right? But then they just keep.
That's the best thing and the worst thing about social media, right? Is you can really get a full picture of who the person is, for better or worse.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's but they do. They'll leave breadcrumbs to keep you around, and it's more of an ego thing. It's more feed their ego. It's not about you, right? They're trying to, if they're not asking you out, and that's the whole point of dating. FYI, write that one down. Is that they are literally asking you on it. It's dating for a reason. You need to ask that person on a date. Right? And if you really want to stand out, call them. Oh, my God. Could you imagine?
Oh, it's crazy. Well, I got to tell you, that's what made my husband stand out. Is because I was, I don't really know about this guy. And he would just call me. And it really, cuts through the clutter.
Yeah. Yeah. He made himself a priority. So that was good, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you want to stand out from the competition. Pick up a phone and call them because they'd be like, wow. Because, at least Generation Xers, we love the phone. It's just, we love to talk on the phone. My girlfriend's talking on the phone. It's just, you would definitely stand out. And then chivalry is not dead, people. Hold the doors open. Right? Give flowers. Make a date. Actually make the date. If you're asking someone out, don't say, well, where do you want to go?
Oh, yeah.
No. Stop it right now. No. Absolutely not. I can't even. Do you know what I mean? Do your friends say that? Do you hear that stories?
No, of course. Yeah. And it's the equality of the sexes, I think, is coming back to bite us because we've been fighting so hard to take it seriously. Yeah. And now I know so many guys use that as an excuse, well, you can open your own door, or, I don't want to, squelch on your independence.
Oh, okay.
Getting me flowers has nothing to do with my independence.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine showing up with flowers on a date? Everyone would be like, okay, either she's going to chloroform me right now or this is going to go well. Like, this is going to go one or two ways. And we just don't know yet. Yeah, so here's the other one. I love this one. Have you heard of benching? Benching.
No.
Yeah.
But can I guess what it is?
Yeah, go ahead. You guess.
Is it like if you're kind of dating someone and then you put them back on the bench like for later?
Yeah, similar to breadcrumbing, right? Like you're benching them. Like there's an A team and a B team. That's how I see it. Like you're benched. Like you're not the highest player. Like you were maybe at one time, but when the Texas start dwindling, it's pretty clear that you're not a priority, right?
But they're not totally getting rid of you.
No, until you get on a different team. Find a different
Right.
team to play for. I mean, I would.
Or
I mean,
play a different game. How's that?
Yeah, that's fine. You want to play, then I'll get my own benching team if you want to do that and see how you like that. Okay, right?
Love it.
Yeah. So no, but yeah. And then what was the other one? Cushioning. Cushioning is the other one. That's a new one. Do you know about cushioning?
I don't.
Okay, so it's a newly coined dating term wherein a partner in a monogamous relationship still flirts with other people. So if their main relationship goes kaput, there's a backup ready. Really? I mean, because then you're not really. And that's the other thing I love telling the story. So I mean, you have like this whole talk about you're having a bench, right? And a bench of team, it's dating, whatever. Well, how are you going to say, oh, haven't met a connection with someone? Well, it's because you're busy with 20 other people. Like, right? How can you really form a connection with somebody? Hey, let's dial it down a hot minute, because maybe if you get to know somebody, right? And I kind of go back to this, and maybe you should like get to know them in a more emotional state first, and to see if they are worthy of being on the bench, and maybe they need to get cut and be sent to another team. Transferred.
Yeah, but how does that make you feel too? Like if you're the person who's in a relationship, I'm like, but I'm also flirting with other people just in case this doesn't work out. That doesn't work in marriage.
No. I'm saying in dating, like if people are dating, like I don't understand like why they're dating 20 different people. Like how are you supposed to get a connection? And then the same thing with this cushioning, like you're not committed to be in that relationship if you've got side things on the side chicks, side guys, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, side pieces. Thank you, Jacob, for that. Side pieces. And like, why would you? It doesn't even make any sense because you're not committed. Get out. If you're going to do that, it's not fair to the other person, right? Because if they're fully committed to you, and you can tell, right? I mean, you get it.
I think that's kind of the fundamental frustration with anyone who's dating. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can be like 16 or 66. It's the ambiguity, right? At first it's fun, because you're like, oh, do they like me? Do they not?
Right.
And then after about 2 weeks, it drives you crazy, right? So that's something I've always been a big fan of. Like, just put it out there. It doesn't have to be mystery.
Yeah, no, what would you say, though, and maybe for the different generations, for the millennials, like, I mean, how soon are they talking about what they're looking for in dates? Because I know it's different in my age group.
Yeah, I think with anyone, it takes a certain amount of emotional maturity to be able to say that. And I think it takes a certain amount of relational experience. I've seen from many of my peers who are willing to, on the first date, say, hey, here are my core things, or here's my past. What do you think about it?
Right.
They're at a place in their life that they're ready to settle down.
Right.
But if they weren't ready to pursue something serious, why would they bring it up, right? Because they're just kind of dating for fun. So I think it certainly depends on the stage of life that you're entering.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and just knowing where you are, where you're showing up in the world, right? I mean, I have friends as they like right off the bat, like this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a relationship. I'm not looking for a relationship. I want to get married or I do not want to get married. And you kind of have to have that because we're all busy. I mean, especially entrepreneur, we're busy. We don't have a lot of time. So it's like kind of cut through the chase. Like, all right, like what's your deal? Because here's where I'm coming from. And it's not meant to be aggressive or anything. It's like, we're just busy. I mean, if it's not going to work out, like, why waste our time if we're not on the same page? Because those issues will come up eventually anyway, right?
Oh, yeah, and I think it's the ultimate sign of respect is being able to say, I want to have a conversation with you, at a time that makes sense, right? Like
Right.
maybe not as soon as you get in the car for the first date.
Yeah, clearly.
But
Yeah.
when it makes sense, say, hey, I respect your time too much.
Yeah, yeah. And you never know. I mean, it may not hit it off at least, but you could be friends and you never know. And I always say, that's why I say dating karma is so important, because you never know if you'll ever run into that person in a professional setting. True story that happened to a friend of mine. And so just remember, dating karma. Always be nice.
That's
and be
right.
nice
Always be
and
nice.
always be nice. And just, if it doesn't work out, just be like, I really liked hanging out with you. I wish you well in the dating world. Just like you wouldn't ghost a client, right? Or be mean to, a client. So just remember, dating and business is not that different. So, but we are actually out of time, which is insane. Can you believe it? I mean, it went fast in your
It
car
actually
ride.
fly by.
Yeah, it did fly by. Even though so sorry you got stuck in traffic. I know DC is just a bear. I'm sorry.
Well, thank you for being so accommodating
Yeah,
and
no problem.
communicating with me via FaceTime, which is what I prefer.
Yeah, exactly. See, now I learned. Now you're my first FaceTime live guest, so I'm going to do more of these. This is really good.
Should. It's fun.
I know. I love it. Yay. All right. Well, thank you so much. And make sure, so tell us how everybody can reach you.
Yeah, so they can find out more about me and what I'm working on at GabrielleBaucher.com or millennials.com.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much again for being on the show, Gabrielle. And next
for
week,
asking.
no problem. And tune in next week where we have Bob London and Pamela Sorensen talking about how to perfect your pitch in business and dating. You don't want to miss this one. Thanks. Have a great week, everyone. Take care.